Hi, I'm Steve Irwin. Today on the show we have Teresa Filliger. Hey, Teresa.
Hey, how are you doing?
So thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you.
So you're in our Prescott sales office. So tell us a little bit, tell our viewers a little bit about you.
Well, I grew up in Phoenix. I was born there. I'm an Arizona native. I went to school in Phoenix, high school and grade school, and went to ASU.
Wow, yeah. Sun Devil?
Yeah, Sundown.
Okay, go.
Yeah, and I got my master's at NAU, and I became a teacher in 1981.
Okay.
And I taught in Page, Arizona, 4th grade, and then I moved over to Yuma and taught English as a second language for a long, long time, from 87 to 2010. And then I moved to Prescott, and I love it. It's great. And I've got 4 boys, and they all lived here for a while. 2 of them moved away back to Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
And I really love real estate. It's really fun. I prefer residential because I like to make people happy and show them the house that they're going to love.
You like the hunting process?
Yeah, it's fun. I'm a hunter.
So, okay. So I gather you're probably bilingual.
I learned Spanish in grade school and high school, and then at ASU, and then also my students in Yuma taught me a lot of Spanish.
And so you could help a native Spanish client.
Yes, I could. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back to the show. Today we have Sarah Whitten. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Pretty good. So you have my title, agency here at Prescott. And just from experience, I know you've been there over like 25 years.
I've actually been with the Yavapai title for 15 years.
15?
I've been in the business, though, 25.
25. And you're the office manager?
I am at the Junction office.
Excellent. As what people don't know is that you also teach some real estate classes to our realtors.
Some, I do.
Yeah, you taught the title information. And so tell us a little bit about what an escrow officer does or title officer does.
Your escrow officer is your neutral third party. So once your buyers and your sellers have reached an agreement in your signed contract, you send it to the escrow company, and the escrow officer takes the contract and the earnest money, and we can start the process.
Okay.
So you order your title commitment and make sure the property's free and clear, and collect all the other pieces to your transaction so that we're ready to close on your close of escrow date.
And some of the advice that you can give maybe a buyer or seller what to look for in their title paperwork?
The requirement section, it's usually the 6th or 7th page into the report. Those are all the things that the title company has to accomplish to be able to complete the transaction.
Okay.
It's where the mortgage to be paid off will show up. It's where taxes that need to be paid will show. It's where anything strange that we might have found of record will show too. Judgments or other kinds of liens will appear there.
Okay.
And we let the agent know if there's something strange to be on the lookout for, and then we work like mad to get it cleared
to get it
so
worked
we can
out.
meet our closing date.
Excellent. And so how is it when you're working with 2 different agents and a buyer? Because you're the neutral person.
We are.
That sometimes has to be a little frustrating.
Actually, probably more challenging. I keep coming back. I must like it. It's all about communication.
It is.
All about communication. And one of my favorite things to tell agents is that if you can't remember if you sent me that document, send it again.
Send it again.
Because I'd rather have it 2 or 3 times than not at all.
Excellent.
So send it again.
Well, hey, well, Sarah, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for the invitation, Steve. I appreciate it.
All right.
Hi, I'm Terry Atkins, Associate Broker with Arizona Prime Real Estate, and today I have with me Gus Bayans with Straight and True Home Inspections of Arizona, and we're going to kind of do a little home inspection 101 today. So I wanted to start with just what is a typical home inspection, the highlights of a home inspection. I know it's about 3 hours long.
Typically, yeah. Well, the Arizona Bureau of Technical Registration, the BTR, they're the ones who sets the standards for what we have to see.
Okay.
They make a long list. You can go to their website, and they have it outlined called the Standards of Practice, and that's everything that we are required by law to look at. Most of us look at a lot more than that because it's really basic. They say, 1 out of 5 doorknobs or 1 out of 4 windows, but we typically do all of them. Or I do anyway.
So that's on that list that you have to look at doorknobs?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the high loop That joke,
Yes, comes up on every inspection.
there's a few of those, yeah. But yeah, the state's pretty nerdy about that. They want us to look at that, so
Okay.
we have to.
Okay.
If we didn't look at that and the client down the road was, intent on suing us or something, they would have us because of
Okay.
that. So it's one of those things.
And so we threw it out there, the high loop has to do with the dishwasher. but-
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, the high loop is a drain line in the dishwasher. For 10 years now, they've been built into dishwashers, but you can't see it, so the state wants us to have it so we can see it. But the basic home inspection, the big ones are the roof,
Right.
foundation, plumbing, electrical, in that order to me. The roof is, excuse me, definitely the most important one. If you've got a bad roof, you're going to have problems everywhere. Water's going to leak through the walls, and then you've got termites, you've got mold. It just all stems from there. But yeah, we look at everything. I go under every crawl space. I go on every roof that I safely can go on. No moldy slate roofs, thank you, or anything dry rotted.
well, the number one question I get is, will your inspector crawl through the attic?
If I can, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's usually where the furnace is.
Typically out here,
Typically.
yes. Yeah. We get a lot of New Englanders, and why is it in the attic? That can't be right.
Right.
But that's just because they've never seen that before.
Right.
No, I wear full, I have a Tyvek suit, breather, all that stuff if I have to. But usually I can see enough to where I don't have to go all the way through.
Right.
But yeah, I'll go through as much as I can. Same with the crawl space, because those two are where everything is hidden. If there's going to be a leak or a problem,
Right.
it's probably going to be there.
Right. So when you get to a home inspection, just home inspection 101, you get there, maybe you start on the outside, hit the roof,
Well,
do
yeah,
the,
my pattern is I go outside and I go around the house and I take my 4 pictures of all the directions. But as I'm doing that, I'm just kind of taking it in, see if, there's a big problem over here. Or this side looks really good, I'll get to that a little bit later. So I'm kind of just doing a real basic assessment on that first pass.
okay,
Then I do the roof, then I go back outside, then I go in the house. So,
okay.
and I try to save the crawl space in the attic for last because that's when you make a mess.
Oh, with
wanna
the
track,
insulation.
yeah, I don't want to track insulation or mud all over the house, so I try to do those last.
So what is the number one issue that you see coming up on a lot of properties?
Well, out here we've been having a lot of HVAC problems, air conditioning problems too, furnaces as well. But water damage really is the biggie that I see out here that people
Water.
neglect it.
Doesn't rain here.
It doesn't for most of the year, but when we get our monsoons, that's especially people from California or back east, they don't really know our weather patterns here.
Right.
And they think Arizona is just a desert wasteland.
So what about the water though? That,
Well, the 2 months where we have massive storms, you need gutters and you need drainage and your landscaping needs to be in good order. Water that collects near the house, it soaks the foundation, the stem walls, termites, all sorts of issues.
so when it's pooling close to the house, this is not good.
That's not good, no. And when I go under the house and I see channels eroded under the crawl space that look like little Colorado rivers, that's not good either. So that's what we want to avoid.
Okay. Would you say though that so as a home inspector, as a realtor to a home inspector, hey, I have a house under contract, the next thing is the inspection. Do you think, obviously you're inspecting it, but you're there to help me educate the buyer on the property that they're purchasing?
Yeah, absolutely. I show where the shutoffs are.
That's where I was going.
Yeah,
Because you
all
do
the-
all that and it's wonderful. You show everybody all the little,
I do. Most houses have a shutoff in the house. But what most people don't know is that irrigation and plumbing is usually branched off before that. So if you've got some massive leak in the yard, say a pipe broke, you shut that off in the house, it doesn't do anything. So I always tell them, use the valve in the meter box, or else, so they'll show them where the meter box
Right.
is. I've had to hack it away with a machete to get to it, to clear it out for them. But yeah, that's important. And to have one of those keys, tell them to have one of those handy, because a lot of people don't, okay, it's down in the box,
oh,
how
the
do I
ones
turn
that
it
go
off?
down in the, okay.
Yeah, so it's an $8 thing at Home Depot.
But you showed them their filters and
I do, yeah.
just all the basics, and people really appreciate that.
Yeah, all the maintenance stuff. And I always call out things that look weird, might not be a defect, but looks weird. It's something that they might come across and be like, what's that? You know, is
Right.
that wrong or is it broken? It's not. It just looks weird. So I'll try to explain that to them.
Okay. Are there any of your little gadgets you want to show off?
Well, I just upgraded the camera now. This one actually is it's the new Nikon waterproof one, but it's got Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, GPS, and compass. When I take a picture on this now, it'll show me date, time, latitude, longitude, and the direction I'm facing. So when I take pictures of like the exterior in a rural house, well, I like to stand at the house now and take pictures of the yard from the roof. But when I do it with this camera now, it'll stamp north, south, west.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and again from liability, because we always have to worry about that.
Of course.
This camera that picture will protect me in pretty much every way. Say where I was, when I was, which way I was looking. There's no question, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm back with Gus Bayens, the inspector extraordinaire. And we're going to have him go through his vest and all the gadgets on his vest and see what we can learn here.
Yeah, they do all have a purpose. I try to carry everything on me that I'm going to need for a home inspection, maybe a little more. Like you got your basic flashlight, circuit tester, measuring tape, got to have that. Infrared thermometer, that's to check registers and heat vents to see, make sure your AC and your heater is working. Screwdrivers, pliers, whatever bit you may need to get into something. Magnetic pickup, in case I drop my keys or something down a vent. It actually has come in handy more than you'd think.
Okay, I might need that.
Let's see. I carry a voltmeter so I don't get killed if something is questionable.
Okay, so
Well,
Wait,
if there's
wait.
some frayed wires or something.
okay, so
wanna-
you test it to see if they're live?
Right. I have a circuit tester, but
Okay.
I've come across just some loose conductors. I want to make sure that they're live or not. Because I
Okay.
was at a house the other day, and in the cabinets in the kitchen, when I went down to look, there was just loose conductor, and they were 240 volts, and they were live. Had I just reached down there, it would have been a rather nasty surprise.
Okay. Wasn't my client's house, was it?
No, I will not mention who it was.
No, no.
I know I carry a regular 240. That's for testing like a 240 for a dryer.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we've got water pressure. Got to check water pressure. That's important.
Yes, that's important.
The most important tool for an inspector, though, is the camera. And I put it on one of these tethers just to save time. That way I don't have to take it out, open it, turn it on. I just leave it running.
And you don't want to drop it off the roof either.
Exactly. This is a shockproof one, but not 30 feet. Gloves, obvious. But I carry a helmet because I've had enough holes in my head in attics if I need it. Last but not least, in weed season, when you get to a vacant property, rather than having to trudge through the weeds, think smarter, not harder, right?
So you're weed whacking with it?
Yeah, why not? I've had to actually get to some AC compressors with it too, so
Oh, okay.
it comes in handy more than you'd think.
All right.
Yeah, there's more, but there's always more. Yeah.
All right. Thank
about
you. Thank you for sharing. with
You're welcome.
us.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Today we have Teresa Filliger coming in. Hey, Teresa.
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. So you're in our Prescott sales office, and I know that you lived in Prescott for a long time. So for the viewers that aren't familiar with Prescott, tell us a little bit about it. Well, first of all, how do you pronounce it?
You say Prescott, not Prescott.
So
it's like biscuit.
So that's number one.
Right, that's the very first thing. And
Okay.
Prescott is a great place to live. It's got 4 mild seasons. There's like not a lot of snow in the winter, so it's not super cold like Flagstaff, and it's not super hot like Phoenix in the summer. And the temperatures can get up to like a 101 maybe.
Okay.
In the summer, but then we have the rains. The monsoons come almost every day, and they cool us off, and so it's really refreshing, even though it's summer.
Right.
Yeah.
And Prescott's a mile-high city, they call it.
Right, and we get lots of cool breezes from the mountains.
Okay.
So we're way up high, and we're surrounded by beautiful pine trees and forests.
The Prescott National Forest.
Right, it's 2.25 million acres, and it's
Wow.
loaded with trails.
Well,
and
I'm surprised that you know that. I mean, that's
Oh,
really
yeah.
good. So, What are some of the activities people can expect to do while they're here?
There's a lot of hiking. People can hike.
Okay.
They can ride their bikes on the trails. They can go out and bird watch.
Okay.
We have lots of like
Golfing?
Golfing. What else? They can go on the lake and with their kayaks.
Okay.
We have 4 lakes around Prescott: Goldwater, Lynx, Watson, and Willow.
I know they're all fishing lakes too.
Yeah, they are. You can fish there, so it's pretty awesome.
A lot of hunting.
And hunting, yeah, you can get a permit for deer or elk for the fall.
I see a little smile on your face. You must be a hunter.
Oh, well, no, I've never hunted, but it looks fun. But yeah, when I was a teacher, my students would go hunting and they'd bring me like an elk eyeball and we'd dissect it. So that's why it made me laugh. But,
Yeah, there you go. So what's the population?
we have like 40,000 people, more or less, in Prescott, the city of Prescott. We have more people around in Prescott Valley, Chino, Paulden, in that area. The surrounding areas, we have more people. But
Excellent.
about
Yeah.
40,000.
And because you do sell real estate, tell us a little bit about the market.
Well, the market right now is, it's a buyer's market. There's a lot of inventory right now, but because we're coming off the summer, but in the winter months it goes down a bit, and there won't be as much inventory, but it picks up again in the spring. And our housing is slightly higher than average of the national average.
Okay.
And our rent is slightly higher than like
Almost
the
no
national.
rentals available though.
Right, and it's really hard to find a rental if you're
Okay.
renting. You have to really hunt.
And driving through the area, I know that there's quite a new developments going on.
Yeah, we have lots of new apartments going up, and a lot of new housing, a lot of new subdivisions. So hopefully there'll be more housing, and the inventory will go up.
Excellent. Well, hey, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Stephanie with Arizona Prime Real Estate. I'm here with Ann Mayer of Academy Mortgage, and she's going to talk a little bit about when clients of mine come in, either new buyers or some of my clients have not bought in a house in like 40 years. So they forget the process, and it changes yearly, I should say. But she's here to explain a little bit and the applications and what the market is like now. So, Ann?
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. To talk about first-time home buyers or buyers who haven't bought in a long time who come in to see you, before you get in the car with them to drive them around and spend a lot of time before they fall in love with the house, it's a great idea for them to meet with a lender to get pre-qualified. We want to do a credit check. We want to do a credit versus debt versus income analysis to see how much they can afford. And then they've got that Arizona pre-qualified letter that shows that they're bona fide buyers if they're getting a loan.
And we have to have that for our...
You have to have it for your contract, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So a lot of folks don't know that, especially people who purchased homes 30 years ago and haven't purchased since then. The process has changed dramatically. It is much more involved. Their lenders are held to a much stricter standard of making sure that they prove the borrower's ability to repay. That's what it's about. So there's a process that we can put them through, and I can make it pretty painless.
Well, sometimes I'll have people in my car that are here for the weekend, and they decide to buy because they really like something. And a lot of places are closed, so I'll be calling lenders and see if they could hurry up and maybe do something for them so we can make an offer. Is there what advice do you have on that?
Well, it's good if you've got a few lenders that you know. Most of us will answer the phone after hours. I actually did an application and a pre-qualification 2 years ago on Thanksgiving Day after I put my turkey in. So, we try to work when you work. If you've got somebody who wants to do that and that you've been taking around showing them houses, it's really not the most ideal moment to call me when they're standing in the house they want to make an offer on. However, I do it. So we'll take them and help them and guide them from whatever point that you start with.
Yeah, some people just don't understand that sometimes. They think, oh, don't we have to buy the house first or see the house? I'm like, no. But sometimes I'm like, okay, let's just go look. You never know. A lot of people have cash. You don't know. They don't tell you a lot. And they come, they have hidden money somewhere. I don't know where, but so sometimes. But then now we're hearing that there's going to be maybe a recession. What is your insight on our recession and what you think is happening in the market now?
Well, Recessions are inevitable. They're cyclical. We will have a recession. It's just when and how deep will it be? There are lots of things that people look at to determine what to make those predictions, and they are predicting some sort of recession within the next 3 to 6 months. When you look at there are, do you know what the yields are for treasuries? So they taught, if you hear about yields flattening or inverting, I don't know if you've heard that expression before.
The yield is what the bank is. Explain that a little bit. The yield.
So the yield is what you're earning on an investment. So when treasuries are, let's think of it like a certificate of deposit. Remember those back in the day? In a bank, you could buy a CD. So instead of a savings account, you could buy a 3-month CD and earn 2% interest.
I did that for my new house.
Oh, good. Very good. I like that.
I had it for like 6
Good
months.
planning. Okay, so when you're tying your money up in a CD, if you're buying a 1-month CD, you would expect to earn less interest on that money than you would if it's in a 1-year CD. Well, this is the same thing with treasury yields. A short-term treasury yield will yield one amount, and a 1-year long will yield more. Well, as those prices get closer and closer together, the lines start to cross. And that's what they're talking about when they talk about yields flattening. If the short term is paying the same as the long term, that's an indication that we're looking at a recession down the road.
Right. I think I heard about that when I was watching the news. So,
And if you hear about it inverting, that means that the short term yield is paying more than the long term.
so they don't want long terms anymore.
Right. And if you don't want long term, we're looking at a recession. So
what do you suggest in that case?
Well, if we're looking at a situation like that, we're probably going to see a rate reduction. The traders are anticipating a rate cut to the Fed funds rate this next week or later this week. If that happens, I just want folks that are listening to know that the Fed funds rate is not the mortgage interest rates. Sometimes they have an impact on your mortgage rates, but very often they don't. The Fed funds rate is just the rate that banks lend money to each other. Does that make sense? And then sometimes those things will then in turn affect mortgage rates based on what mortgage-backed securities are paying as they're traded as equities on the stock market.
So we're looking at lower interest rates.
We're looking at slightly lower interest rates. However, if you've got a client that just wrote a contract today that's closing in 30 days, their best bet is to lock it, even though we may have a rate reduction in the next couple days because we don't know if it's going to impact mortgage rates. If they've got a longer term, let's say they've got 5 months out because it's a new build, they should float because we do expect rates to drop.
Oh, okay. All right, great. So clients that are buying now, lock it.
Yes, if they're closing
And
in
if it's
30
a
days,
long-
I would suggest locking.
And if they're building a house, let it ride.
Let it ride, float.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming in and seeing us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And-
It was fun.
Yes, it was a fun time. Thank you.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Today we have Hayley from Mile High Property Inspections. Welcome to the show, Hayley.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you having me, Steve.
So you've done several home inspections that I was involved with as a realtor, and super impressed with the job you do. Great
Thank you.
reports. Tell our audience a little bit about you and kind of your approach to home inspections.
You bet. Well, I've been inspecting 10 years.
Okay.
Background is lumber industry for 20 years. Many years in the propane industry and customer service in general for, 30 years back. My interest in it is that I really appreciate our view of coming in and looking at a home and being able to educate a buyer. I go in there as an unbiased person that's able to look at the home, share that information with the buyer. This way they're making an educated decision, in reference to the property that they're purchasing.
There's several major components that make up a home.
Absolutely.
And even though we have buyers that may be familiar with one aspect, a lot of them aren't familiar with all the aspects of a home, the heating, cooling, plumbing, hot water, air conditioning, those type of things. And
You bet.
that's why we always recommend a certified home inspector. Tell us a little bit about certifications for home inspectors.
Sure. Well, we have to become a home inspector, you have to pass the national exam. Once you do that, you can apply to the state for a license. You have to be licensed in the state of Arizona with the Arizona Board of Technical Registration. You don't have to be licensed in all the states across the country. So that's kind of odd, but at the same time, everybody has their own ruling on that so that you're not just following one. Away from the board, there's different avenues that we can go. I'm a member of ASHI and INTERNASHI, as well as NADRA. So we have the American Society of Home Inspectors, the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors, and NADRA is the North American Deck and Railing Association. Being affiliated with those corporations or companies, if you would, help us to stay on top of education. They want continuing hours of education. So there's always something, coming down. There's changes out there that they like to help keep us aware of. So it's really a good thing. I think it helps to keep you up on top of things. What's interesting is if you're a licensed inspector in the state of Arizona, you don't necessarily have to be a member of ASHI or any of these affiliations. They count on you getting your continuing ed by the work that you're doing in the field.
Sure.
So for me, it's just an extra layer to help give my clients a better product. When it comes to NADRA, the North American Deck and Railing Association, just for example, there's only 2 of us in northern Arizona that are a certified inspector with NADRA, which really surprises me because we have about 26 to 30 inspectors here in Prescott now, Prescott area. But look at how many decks that we have.
Sure.
So it's interesting to me that we don't have more inspectors that are, a certified inspector with NADRA.
Well, one thing that we like is to look at that certification so the buyer getting the home inspection is confident they're going to get a fair, true inspection.
Absolutely.
So what are, just kind of in closing a little bit, what are some of the things that you find common in the home inspections that you've been doing?
On the common side, we cover a wide range like you kind of talked about earlier. I mean, it's much deeper than somebody would look at a home. Some people say, what do you do? And you run through a list of things that you do and they go, well, I'm going to have Uncle Bob look at it.
Right.
Uncle Bob's a contractor. And that's fine, but we're looking at such a wide range of area. Some of the common things that you see are deck issues because we have so many. And people believe that decks are built to last the life of the home. They're not. Fasteners fail, they rust, they rot, they fall out. People don't see that. Items become loose, boards rot. People don't walk under the deck and see those things going on. So decks are very important. There's a lot of accidents and even deaths, and I don't say that lightly, across the country that happen every year. So that's an area that's very important that I see a lot of issues in. Another one in a completely different direction is laundry or dryer exhaust vents. Out of sight, out of mind. People don't think of cleaning them. They use them for 10 years, 15 years. You got 3 kids, you're doing laundry 4 times a week. That vent actually clogs up. Lint is damp, it sticks to the piping, it dries up. It's not breathing properly, the dryer's running hotter. You go to the dryer, you go, oh, they're not dry yet. Let me put it on another 40 minutes until there's a spark and something dangerous happens.
And that's very true.
Couple of popular areas that I see that are just very safety-minded as well.
Okay. Well, thanks. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for watching this episode of Prescott Gallery of Homes.